Barak Yahuah, Barak Yahuah, Barak Yahuah. Shalom to all 12 tribes of Yasharal, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this Yom. On this Yom, what here is a first Yom, or what you might know as a Sunday, Laila, a Sunday night, a first Yom, Laila. Shalom to the elder brother, Yehuda, Yahuwah's covenant-keeping people. Shalom to the younger brother, Ephraim. Shalom to the former stranger, the former foreigner, the former Gar, who being formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant, who now via the redemptive dam, the redemptive blood of Yahusha HaMashiach, of Yahuwah, our adder of redemption, is now via that spilt dam, that pouring out of our Messiah's whole entire life on the tree on the 9th hour, who now via that redemptive dam is made privy to being grafted back in to the olive tree, back into the middle branch, Hanatzah, Yahusha HaMashiach, by extension, Yasharal. And so being made privy to being grafted back into said olive tree is made privy to that same gift, that same inheritance, and that same promise of everlasting life that was given to Yasharal and to Yasharal alone. Shalom. Shalom. If you're wondering by now who we are, well, I'll tell you, I am Alessandro Ban Yahuah, and this is Eat Spiritual Bread, where we do just that. We eat spiritual bread. Lacham, if you will, in the Hebrew tongue. Barak Yahuah. You may also be wondering why it is I'm wearing this beanie. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because I'm here, you can tell by the accent, in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, where according to Yahuwah's scriptural calendar, his seasons, it is autumn heading into winter. And as you may be there in the northern parts of the equator, I didn't say hemisphere, I said equator. On this flat plane Earth, you may be in the northern parts of this equator, where it is spring heading into summer. It is getting warmer for you. Well, guess what? Down here, down south, it is only getting colder. Hence this beanie. Nevertheless, we've got the Yahuwah shirt going strong. Barak Yahuah. Now, to the title of this proclamation, the title of this teaching, if you will, though I prefer not to call it that. The title of this abad, this servant, being used as an earthen vessel for a voice that is Yahuwah's voice crying out in the wilderness. Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? So long. Now to the context of where these words were uttered, of when these words were uttered, of who uttered these words, to the context of such we will get to. You're willing, we'll get to it. But first, let us preface. Why are you keeping me waiting so long? For it is written that in the mouth of 2 or more witnesses, let every single matter be established. In the mouth of 2 or more witnesses. So line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little. We're going to get to the establishment of these very self-same words that were uttered with a great crying. Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? So we're going to begin to preface these words that were uttered in the chapter 9 of Tahalim, or what you there behind the screen might know as Psalms, chapter 9. Yes, Psalms, Tahalim, chapter 9, verses 9 through to 10. Let's read. Barak Yahuah. Yahuwah also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know your name, Yahuwah, will put their trust in you. For you, Yahuwah, have not forsaken those that seek you. I'll repeat that. For you, this is in verse 10 of Psalm 9, you, Yahuwah, have not forsaken those that seek you. You have not forsaken. I put emphasis on the word I put emphasis on the word forsaken. Forsaken. You, Yahuwah, have not forsaken those that seek you. Forsaken. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but let it be established right here and in the mouth of another witness, another two, another perhaps three witnesses, that you, Yahuwah, have not forsaken those that seek you. Right out of the mouth of none other than Sovereign Dawood. Sovereign Dawood, who we all know was a reflection and pointed to our Messiah, our High Priest, Melchizedek, Yahusha HaMashiach. Psalm Tahalim 37, Psalms 37, verses 23 through to 28. The steps of a good man are ordered by Yahuwah, and he delights in his way. Though he falls, he shall not be utterly cast down, for Yahuwah upholds him with his hand. I have been young, says Sovereign David, and now am old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken. The Hebrew here is the Zarakim, the righteous ones, forsaken. Dawood, Sovereign Dawood says, I have been young. Yes, I've been young, and now am old. Yet I have not seen the righteous ever forsaken, or his seed begging for bread. Lakam. He is always full of rakamim and lends. He's full of mercy and he lends. And his seed shall be Baruch, favored. Depart from evil and do good and dwell forever and ever. For Yahuwah loves mashpat, what you might know as judgment, or even deeper into the root of judgment, the root word of judgment, right ruling. Yes, Yahuwah loves right ruling and forsakes not his kadoshim. I'll put emphasis again on it. Forsakes not. He forsakes not his righteous ones, his kadoshim, his set apart ones, if you will. They are preserved forever and ever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. Shall be cut off. So line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Yahuwah does not forsake his zarakim, his righteous ones. Psalm 94. Verse 14. Psalm 94, verse 14 reads, For Yahuwah will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. He will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. In other words, his people. In other words, his people. Line upon line. Precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. In the mouth of two or more witnesses, let every single matter be established. Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, Father. Barak Yahuwah. Yahuwah forsakes not his zarakim. He forsakes not his inheritance. Yahuwah does not forsake. This has now been established. And so we get to Matat Yahu, the Besorah, the good news. We get to Mark. Mark, or also known as Yehukanon Mushah. Mark, also known as Yehukanon Mushah. Mark, we get to the Besorah, the good news of Mark, also known as Yehukanon Mushah. And we get to Yahusha's impalement. Some of you may have known that that's where the master was going with this, through this earthen vessel. Some of you may have not. We now get to Mark, Mark, who was formerly known as Yehukanon Mushah. We get to Mark, the 15th chapter. Mark, the 15th chapter, and we are now going to go through verses 22 through to 34. Barak Yahuwah. And they brought him to the place Golgotha, which is being interpreted the place of a skull. They brought Yahusha to the Mount of Olives, the skull of the Mount of Olives, meaning the highest point. And they gave him wine to drink mingled with myrrh. But he received it not. And when they had impaled him, they parted his garments, casting lots for them, what every man should take. And it was 9 o'clock in the Bakar in the morning, and they impaled him. They impaled him on the 3rd hour of the day. And the inscription of his accusation was written, Yahusha ha-Notzri u-Malak ha-Yahudim, otherwise known as Yahusha, the Nazarite, and sovereign of the Yahudim. And with him they impaled two thieves, one on his right hand and the other on his left. And the scripture was fulfilled that said, and he was numbered with the transgressors. Yahusha HaMashiach. And they that passed by blasphemed him, wagging their heads and saying, Aha, aha, you that destroys the house of the temple and builds it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the beam, or the tree rather, from the tree rather. Likewise also the head priests, the head Kohanim, mocking, said among themselves, with the judges, the Shufrim, he saved others, himself he cannot save? Let the Mashiach, the Malak, the sovereign of Yasharal, descend now from the tree, that we may see and trust. And they that were impaled with him reviled him. And when 12 noon, being the 6th hour, had come, there was darkness over the whole land, right up until the 9th hour. And at 3 o'clock, which is the 9th hour, in the afternoon, Yahusha cried with a loud voice, on the 9th hour, being impaled on the tree, 6 hours for our crimes, for our transgressions, being outside of the camp, outside of Yerushalayim, bearing our curses, our crookedness, so that we may be redeemed unto everlasting life. Yahusha on the 9th hour, on the tree, being impaled 6 hours, cried with a loud voice, saying, Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, lemana-azavthani, lemana-azavthani, which means, my Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why are you I'll repeat that. Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, lemana-azavthani. Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, lemana-azavthani, which means, my Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, why are you keeping me waiting so long? My Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah. We know that some thought he called for Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, who you might know as Elijah. But nevertheless, he said, my Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, why are you keeping me waiting? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Now, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. We have established that Yahuwah, our Father, does not forsake us. He does not forsake the Zarakim. Now, when speaking of righteous ones, when we as righteous ones are striving in our way, there is but one. There is but one who is our Father, who came and was subject to the reckoning of Yamim, the reckoning of days, and gave his all for us. He came in the likeness of man, but in his own flesh and blood. Yahuwah coming as Yahusha HaMashiach, Yahuwah our adder of redemption, and so being impaled on the tree for 6 hours, and on the 9th hour to cry with a loud voice as he was just about to give up his ruach, his entire being, and spill his redemptive dam to ratify us into a new and everlasting covenant. He cried out, Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, why are you keeping me waiting so long? Yahuwah, who manifested as Yahusha HaMashiach, who does not forsake his righteous ones, himself being manifested in the flesh as the most righteous one, Yahusha HaMashiach, does not forsake, his righteous ones. He never forsook himself. He being the most, Yahusha HaMashiach being the most righteous example of what we as now priests in the order of Melchizedek can be. Yahusha HaMashiach was never forsaken by himself, by Yahuwah. He cried Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Now, when we get up the Masoretic text, whether it's a KJV, which the Extians love, or whether it's a Sefer, which those among the 12 tribes of Yasharal have come to love. Nevertheless, when we get up the Masoretic text, KJV or Sefer, we get in Matthew, we get in Mark, the 15th chapter. This translation is also found in Matthew, is also found in Matthew, is also found in Luke, and is also found in John. Yahusha. But nevertheless, using Mark as an example, in the 34th verse of chapter 15, we get, and at the 9th hour, Yahusha cried with a loud voice, saying, Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, lemana-azavthani, lemana-azavthani. We're still getting lemana-azavthani, which is being interpreted, Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, why have you forsaken me? Why have you forsaken me? Does this sound right? Does this sound right? We'll have it known. Let it be known, rather. Let it be known. Let this truth in which this abad, this earthen vessel, this servant was struck with about 9 months ago now be brought forth to you, that the Greek in which these Masoretes translated it from, the Greek in which these Masoretes then translated the text from into English, the Greek tells you that Yahuah, our Heavenly Father, forsook Yahusha HaMashiach, forsook himself in the flesh redeeming us. Though throughout Psalms, Sovereign Dawood, a perfect reflection of Yahusha HaMashiach, speaks contrary, speaks that Yahuwah does not forsake his Zadakim. Was not Yahusha the most righteous above all men? Is not Yahusha the one who we look to, who we strive in reflection of his way, truth, and life? Is Yahusha not who we pour out our entire beings to day by day on the 3rd and 9th hour? Just as on the 3rd and 9th hour, him being impaled and then giving up his whole life, he poured out all of his being for us? The Greeks will have you believe that Yahuwah forsook himself. Those among Yasharal will say, it makes sense that Yahuwah isn't Yahusha, because Yahusha cried out to Yahuwah saying, why have you forsaken me? Why have you left me, Yahuwah? Why, like a man does, why have you left me? That's what some of those among the 12 tribes are frame in this season, more specifically, the northern 10 tribes who are lost, who are scattered, who are divorced from covenant. That's what they'll have you believe. That's what they'll have you think. But nevertheless, when we look into the Aramaic, yes, because we know that the Greek, and all the more so the Masoretic from the Greek, but it is even the Greek, the LXX Septuagint in this instance, that has this false translation. Why have you forsaken me? The Greek, they'll completely twist it. But we know that the scriptures were not just translated from Hebrew to Greek. No, we know that. And yes, we know that a lot of the translations from the Septuagint, which is the ancient Hebrew, to the Greek, are correct. They are correct. But line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, with the ruach of discernment, using multiple texts. Just as Yahuwah uses multiple witnesses, for it is written in the mouth of 2 or more witnesses, let every matter be established. Just as Yahuwah uses multiple witnesses to establish his truth, and so his restored text, his word, which is his Ruach HaKadosh, so looking into the Aramaic being translated from the ancient Hebrew, the Aramaic being translated from the ancient Hebrew in the Aramaic Peshitta, we find the correct translation, Aly-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Is this not more fitting? Is this not more beautiful and powerful, showing the might, the achad, if you will, the oneness in plurality form of Yahuwah, being Yahusha, of Yahuwah, our very own Father and Creator, who came from the Shamayim, the seventh Shamayim, all the way down through the seven heavens to take on the likeness of man in flesh and blood, his own flesh and blood, but still the likeness of man, who took it on, all to lead up to this most wonderful act where he was to be impaled for our crimes. Where he was to be impaled for our crimes. So on the tree, just as he's about to give up his rock as a perfect crime offering, just as he's about to pour out his blood that would ratify us, as soon as it hits the soil, us being a representation of that soil, ratify us unto a new and everlasting covenant, hanging there on the tree, he cried out, my Aluah-Yahuah, my Aluah-Yahuah, why are you keeping me waiting so long? Is it not mighty and powerful and a true wonder, and tifarath, that is to say, a beauty of Yahuwah, to see that he himself, who came and took on the form of flesh to redeem us, cried out to himself in the seventh Shamayim, saying, Yahuwah, why are you keeping me waiting so long? He cried that to himself. He cried that to himself. That is beautiful. That is mastery. He is the grand architect. He is the ancient of days. He is our one mighty true master, who orchestrated an act so perfect, so precisely, so aligning, so beautifully, that he found himself on the tree on the 9th hour, 6 hours into his impalement, crying to himself, saying, why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Said Yahuwah on the 9th hour of a fourth yom, the midst of the week, as he gave up his entire being for us. He never said, Yahuwah, why have you forsaken me? He was righteous, he was pure, he was perfect. Though he bore all of our curses, though he was hung. Yes, he was hung outside of the camp. Yes, he was hung on a tree. Apostle Shaul speaks, cursed is he who is hung on a tree. I trust it's Galatians 13, is it not? That says, cursed is he who is hung on a tree, and Shaul right there is referencing Yahusha Mashiach. Yes, he was cursed. He hung on a tree. He bore all of our curses. Nevertheless, yet he himself was perfect. He was pure. He was blameless and without fault. Only one pure and so perfect could bear the entire curses of a wicked nation, Yasharah, so that they may be redeemed unto everlasting life, making formal teshuvah, repentance, and so being covered in that same redemptive dam that after crying on the tree, why are you keeping me waiting here so long, he poured out onto the soil. Barak Yahuah. Barak Yahuah. People fail to do their research. They fail, as it's written in Timothy, you should be familiar now, study to show yourself approved. They fail to study to show themselves approved. They fail to have that thought that, well, it says this in the Greek, but I wonder what it says in the Aramaic. Or I wonder what it says in the Dead Sea Scrolls if it's available. They fail. They fail. They fail. Master, why? Why do they fail? Why? Why do they fail? This is a voice crying out to you in the wilderness this day. Yahuwah himself, taking on the likeness of man in his own flesh and blood, cried out on the tree on the 9th hour, saying, why are you keeping me waiting so long? Do not we? Shortly after this, he said, Kala, just as he gave up his last breath. Do the research. He said Kala in the Hebrew tongue, meaning two things, meaning accomplished. He said Kala, meaning accomplished. He also said Kala, meaning bride. Kala, two meanings in Hebrew, accomplished and bride. He screamed out to his bride and said Kala. He said Kala, he said my bride. And in saying my bride, he also said accomplished. I have accomplished the mighty act in which I was set out to do. Redeeming you, my bride. Is it not his very own bride who asks this same, who cries out to Yahuah, our Father, Yahusha by extension, in whom we are aiming day by day, striving to be a perfect reflection of in his way, truth, and life? Is it not his bride who utters these same words every day? Why, Yahuah, are you keeping me waiting here so long? I want to be on Mount Zion. I want to be with you. I want to leave this wicked fleshly world behind. It profits me nothing. It profits me nothing. Why are you keeping me? Why are you keeping us 144,000 numbered in Revelation 14, in Revelation even the 7th chapter in this season? Why are you keeping us waiting here so long? The same words that Yahusha HaMashiach himself uttered to himself in the Shamayim to Yahuah. The same words he uttered himself. So we utter this day. We do not utter, why have you forsaken me? Yahuah never forsakes his righteous. He never forsakes his righteous. Now, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Why are you keeping me waiting here so long? Uttered Yahusha HaMashiach. Why have I been left on the tree for 6 hours? He uttered to himself in a beautiful act that would redeem his children, 144,000 in this season, unto everlasting life. Now, in Psalm 22, in Psalm 22, Sovereign Dawood, being a Yahusha type, if you don't know that by now, you need to go back to perhaps our series called Destination Zion, all the way to part 1, and watch right through to part 12. If you don't understand that, you need to watch our recent video called Amunah Will Save Your Life. If you don't understand that, Sovereign Dawood was a Yahusha type. Now in Psalm 22, the very first chapter, we get Sovereign David, who it is believed, I cannot confirm, but it was believed that when he received this psalm, Sovereign David, Psalm 22, he was on the Mount of Olives, Golgotha. He was on the very skull of the Mount of Olives where Yahusha was to be impaled. And the first verse of Psalm 22 in the correct translation, the Hebrew to Aramaic translation reads, Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, lemana-azavthani. Why have you left me here? Why have you left me here? Almost a perfect match to why are you keeping me waiting so long? Why are you keeping me waiting so long? Or in Psalm 22 verse 1, lemana-azavthani, the same Hebrew words. Why have you left me here? Why have you left me here? Why have you left me here? Now we know Hebrew, we know Aramaic being put into, transliterated into the English language. We know that it's not going to be a perfect reflection of what was truly wrote by the Hebraic scholars. We know it's not. But we now have two witnesses, the correct Aramaic translation of Mark, of Matthew, Luke, and John, and a second witness of Psalm 22:1, where Dawood spoke of Yahusha's impalement. You keep reading the chapter, you see it's all prophecy of Yahusha's impalement. And Psalm 22 verse 1 again reads, Aly-Yahuah, Aly-Yahuah, lemana-azavthani. Why have you left me here and are far from redeeming me from the words of my roaring? Now we know Dawood spoke this, but nevertheless Yahuah himself manifested in flesh, in the likeness of man, but in his own flesh and blood, felt the exact same way. Why have you left me upon this tree? Why have you left me upon this tree? Why have you left me upon this tree? Not why have you forsaken me? Not why have you forsaken? Meaning to forget about. Forsaken meaning to forget about. Forsaken meaning to kick to the dust, so to speak, and walk away and never come back. We know that after 3 yamim and 3 days and 3 nights, the sign of the prophet of Yonah was complete. We know that indeed Yahuah himself, in the likeness of man, but in his own flesh and blood, manifested as Yahusha HaMashiach, rose straight back to the 7 Shamayim, from where he descended from, to then be manifested through the womb of the Virgin Miriam. Through the womb of the Virgin Miriam. Now we know this. We know this. We know this. And so it is established. Yahuwah does not forsake his Zarakim. The most righteous one of all, Yahusha Mashiach, was never forsaken by himself, Yahuwah. But he was rather left on the tree, waiting so long, bearing all the curses of Yasharal, not just the curses of our past forefathers, but the curses, the crimes, the iniquity, the disgust and filth of the fornication of us in past times, of those to come, if there is more time. But nevertheless, Yahuwah, on the 9th hour of a fourth Yom, or what you might know as a Wednesday, cried to himself, "Why are you keeping me waiting so long?" So a perfect reflection of us, 144,000 in this season, crying to Yahuwah, saying, "Why are you keeping me on this crime-filled world where there is nothing but flesh, where it profits us naught, where it does not profit us anymore? We just want to be on Zion. Father Yahuwah, why are you keeping us waiting here so long?" Palal, that this word has been edifying, that it has thrown seeds out to not be fallen by the wayside, but instead fall on fertile soil that is conducive to the growing of seeds, soft, fertile, mashable soil. That is conducive to the growing of seeds, so that Yahuwah's living waters, whoever watching this may drop whatever pride they may have attached to this topic, and so allow Yahuwah's living waters to come and to water that seed, so that seed may grow and spring up from a first fruit of barley to a first fruit of wheat to then wine and oil, and so oil being a representation of the olive tree, and so may it sprout unto an olive tree that leads to everlasting life. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Until the next one. Shalom.